Hi lovely friends, it's Alora and welcome back to the channel. Today I'm going to be going through all of the books that I've purchased over the summertime. Now, one of my recent videos was a long lost books of my endless TBR video, in which you would have seen if you watched it that I have 193 books on my to be read pile, which means I probably shouldn't be buying any more books ever in my life, period. But we all know that that's not going to happen. In fact, after going through all of these books that had been in boxes for several years on my TBR, I actually feel validated in my choices to buy some select new books because my interests have shifted, and that means my choice of books has also shifted. So a lot of these books are genres that I'm just dabbling in for the first time. It's a very eclectic haul and I'm excited to show off all of my new purchases. I'm going to go in reverse chronological order, so the farthest back book that I've bought since my previous book haul is the one that I'm going to do first, and then we'll make our way towards the most recent. Alrighty, so the first book that I have to show you is Blank Canvas, My So-Called Artist Journey by Kiko Higashimura. She is a manga artist, and this is actually her autobiography in manga form, which is pretty neat. It is black and white, and it does go back to front, which was a unique experience for me since I'm not an avid manga reader. That wasn't something I was used to. I had to do the opposite way, you know, read it from like the top right corner down. It was just a little bit confusing, but I got the hang of it and I really did enjoy it. This story follows her as a high school aged girl coming into her own as an artist, deciding that it's something that's very important to her, and then beginning to train with this very serious art sensei in order to hopefully get into a prestigious art university. This book was very quirky and over the top, and I think it would be perfect for any fans of this artist's work. Her main manga series that she has illustrated is Princess Jellyfish, which I haven't read. If you have read it, I think that this would definitely be of interest to you. The book that I picked up after that was City of Girls by Elizabeth Gilbert. Now, I am a die-hard Elizabeth Gilbert fan. Anything she writes, I will read regardless of genre, which is actually interesting because she tends to cross genres. She has all sorts of different kinds of books. The most recent book that I read of hers prior to this was The Signature of All Things, which follows a botanist, a female botanist in the 1800s. Very fascinating, but completely different from this, which is a book following showgirls in New York City in the 1940s. This is the kind of like rollicking good time type book. It's a feel-good book. It's a book where women are empowered to make their own choices regarding their lives, their careers, their sexuality, and that was really inspiring to see. It's fun, it's flirty, and it doesn't take itself too seriously. What I liked about this book is that it shows that women can be empowered in a sexual way without it ruining their lives, and I think that's a big part of the reason why Elizabeth Gilbert wrote this novel. So it does have adult, mature content in it. If that makes you uncomfortable, steer clear, but otherwise a very fun read. After that, I purchased a poetry and prose collection called To Build a Home by Hina Mian. She is very popular on Instagram and has a beautiful Instagram where she collages, like almost like bullet journal collage spreads with her poetry. Her poetry is of the more serious nature, talking about relationships, talking about abuse, emotional abuse, talking about toxicity in relationships, talking about finding your own power. I've said talking about 7,000 times. Anyhow, this is definitely for fans of Rupi Kaur, people who are trying to find more of that like Insta poetry, the female empowerment, short but kind of intermixed with prose, intermixed with illustrations. This is my favorite illustration from the book. Moving on, I have Amazing Furniture Makeovers by Jen Kreider. This is a little bit of a departure. Not that there was really a theme going before this, but I saw this book in Barnes & Noble and I decided, this looks really cool. I would like to learn how to upcycle furniture, and so I bought it. For me, this stems from the fact that I had an old wooden art cabinet that I used to death as a kid. It had art, signs of artwork all over it. There were paint splatters and it was just a mess. And when I moved out of my parents' house, my mom did this really lovely thing where she repainted the whole thing in this gorgeous robin's egg blue and had her friend, who is an artist, paint these gorgeous silhouettes of birds and leaves and branches, and it's so elegant and lovely. and it's the favorite gift that I've ever been given, so I decided that it would be fun for me to do things like that too, hence this book. After that, we have a graphic novel, so we're really running the gamut of genres here, called The Prince and the Dressmaker by Jen Wang. This graphic novel interested me because it follows the story of a young prince who hires a dressmaker to make him dresses in secret because he likes to dress up as a girl. Now obviously in court this is unacceptable, so it has to be on the hush-hush, but this was a really lovely story of friendship and love and authenticity, being true to yourself. It was really fun to see all of the different dress designs, and the color palette was a little bit subdued, so not my favorite, but I did really enjoy this. I read through it in about an hour or two. Definitely good LGBTQ plus representation. Ooh, the next one was really interesting. It was Strange Weather in Tokyo, which is a Japanese novel by Hiromi Kawatami that has been translated into English. Now, I've been on a bit of a roll with reading translated works in the last few years, which is good. I feel a little bit proud of myself for that, branching out and, you know, being cosmopolitan and all that. But this novel follows a woman who is in her late 30s who, in this restaurant that she frequents, bumps into one of her old high school professors or high school teachers. He is much older than she is, but both of them are just kind of floating along in life, feeling unsatisfied, unfulfilled, and lonely. And this is the story of the friendship that blooms as these two people just kind of continue to meet by chance in the same restaurant and start to develop a relationship with one another. It was a beautiful story. It was very different, and that's what I love about reading translated works, because there's the cultural differences, or there are the cultural differences for sure, but there are also these other subtle language differences where, I mean, obviously the language is not subtly different, it's a completely different language, but when it's translated, they tend to have different cadences. That's something that's just really interesting and fascinating to me to consider when you translate a work, that you're not just trying to translate the direct wording, but also trying to translate the feeling of the novel. Yeah, gosh, I wish that I knew both languages so that I could try translating it myself and see what I came up with, but I think the translator did a fantastic job with this one. It's certainly something to pick up if you like kind of slice of life stories that are sentimental, nostalgic, and have that infusion of Japanese culture. After that, I have another graphic novel called Laura Dean Keeps Breaking Up With Me by Mariko Tamaki and Rosemary Valero O'Connell. This story is about a girl named Freddie who's in love with a girl named Laura Dean, and Laura Dean does not treat her very well. This is the story of a toxic relationship. So I guess maybe there is a theme. I guess there are a few themes in this book haul. We've got toxic relationships, we've got LGBTQ+, we've got friendship, so this also explores how being in a relationship affects your other friendships. And I think it did a beautiful job. What I really love about this is it's black and white with hints of pink, and okay, what I adore about illustrations that are just black and white with one color is that the illustrator is really able to draw your attention into a very specific point on every panel. So on any given panel they can decide, okay, it's really important that you notice she's blushing, so we'll put pink on her cheeks, or it's very important that you notice she's feeling uncomfortable and knocking her feet together, so we'll make her shoelaces pink. And so wherever that color is, your eye is drawn and you put a little bit extra attention there. So I really like that device in illustrated works. Overall, really great representation, really great story in general, just a good story. It was good. This is not a wrap-up. I need to stop talking too much about them. The next book that I have to share with you is The Bullet Journal Method by Ryder Carroll. Now, people have been, ooh, shiny. People have been talking about bullet journaling for years, and I've kind of like just dipped my toe in the water, if you will, without really diving into it. I've watched a few videos on YouTube about it. I follow the hashtag Bujo on Instagram, so I see some bullet journal spreads. Anyhow, up until about a month ago, I hadn't really delved very deep into the bullet journal method, but I decided, you know what, I really need to get my shit together. I need to organize my life. I used to be a very organized person when I attended university, and ever since graduating a few years back, I have felt a little bit unmoored, if you will. I felt a little bit like drifty and I'm not sure what I'm supposed to be doing at any given time other than just like going to work. And so I really needed a way to kind of get my head on straight and figure out what are my priorities, what are my goals, what are the important things for me to keep track of, what are the things that are completely superfluous to my life that I don't actually need to keep track of. And so I decided to go with the bullet journal method because I found that people seem to think that it's both practical and creative. So there is a very specific structure to bullet journaling, but there's also a lot of room for individuality and for making your bullet journal your own. Hey, this is 1 hour in the future Laura, who just got the mail and received this in the mail that I had ordered. It's Graffiti and Other Poems by Savannah Brown. This is a very short poetry collection about growing up and about really allowing yourself to feel your emotions. That's all I really know about it. The poems are, some of them are longer and some of them are shorter, and it's illustrated, which is just delightful. It's something that I really enjoy. So, all right, back to present moment, past Laura. We are down to the final book in this book haul, and that is Keeper of the Lost Cities by Shannon Messenger. Now, this purchase is inspired by Reagan at Peruse Project because she's been talking about this book series, which is a middle grade series, for the last year, and she's just been raving about them, and I really take her recommendations seriously, so I decided to finally pick it up. This is a middle grade novel that follows a girl named Sophie who discovers that she is actually an elf. And so she has always felt like a bit of an outcast in the real world, I don't know, muggle world, if you will, if you want to do a Harry Potter reference. So this book is the first in the series where she goes to the elven world and starts to kind of have her homecoming, try to figure out where her place is in this new reality. I've heard nothing but good things about this, that the character development is spot on, that it's just easy to fly through very fast, and so I think this will be the next book that I will be picking up. Alright friends, thank you for watching my midsummer book haul. I'll probably have another one around the autumn time, so let me know if there are any books that you think that I should check out or that I might be interested based upon this very random and eclectic collection of books that I bought this summer. I hope that you are having a beautiful day, and until next time, love you.